Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be discussing the battery life on this brand new Samsung Galaxy S20. Now I say brand new because obviously this is the flagship for the year 2020, but with Note 20 out already, obviously that takes the leading role. However, this still remains the flagship for Samsung when it comes to the regular S series. This is, by the way, the Exynos version, which comes in the UK, and it's a global version technically, but in America and other parts of the world they get the Snapdragon version. It's a Snapdragon 865 that comes on the S20 series. We in the UK always end up getting the Exynos, for which we are a bit unlucky, I guess, because the Snapdragon version is superior in both battery life and also performance. Okay, so now let's have a look at this version, the one we've got. Like I said, this is the Exynos 990 chipset. So now let's quickly get into the Samsung Galaxy S20. Use the on-screen fingerprint sensor. So going into settings and about phone, and here we get all the information that we required. This is the One UI version 2.1. 2.5 is out already. Hopefully at some point I will get this on my UK based Exynos 990 Samsung Galaxy S20. It's running currently Android version 10 and all the other details, and obviously running the patch level 1st of July 2020. In fact, as we speak, there is an update available already, and that's for the month of August. I will also be discussing how the updates have been affecting the battery life on this version ever since I've been living with the phone since March. I think maybe it was the second week of March when I unboxed the phone, and since then I've been living with the phone, and the Samsung have been releasing quite a number of updates, primarily related to the camera, and also obviously the monthly patches, which is now a common trend on top-end Samsung Galaxy and other flagship phones. But also there were quite a few updates which mentioned about the camera, and as we all know, the S20 had its own set of issues with the camera, especially with focusing. However, this video is about battery life, so let's quickly get into it. So without further ado, let's quickly get started. Those of you who follow me, you know my way already, guys. I take screenshots obviously of all the screen on times and various other things as I am trying to measure the performance of battery life on a smartphone. So let's get into gallery. My first screenshots give you that I chose high refresh rate, which is a 120 Hz refresh rate, and see how the battery life would go on this refresh rate. Later in the video, you'll also see me selecting 60 Hz as well, and see how the battery is affected then. Okay, on my first screenshot here, guys, you can see I was using WhatsApp, YouTubing, social media, Amazon shopping, Twitter, and all that kind of stuff, emails as well, and I was able to achieve 5 hours and 9 minutes of screen on time. I think the screen is a bit brighter, so just make it a bit lower so you guys can see a bit rather easily. So now you can see 5 hours and 9 minutes of screen on time. Just to give you guys a heads up, Samsung have now changed their approach towards the battery stats. So if you go into settings and go on these settings here to look for the screen on time, and if you have used your phone for over a day and you haven't charged it, it will reset the clock for the screen on time, which can be a bit confusing at times. I think this has been done purposely, in my opinion. I'm not blaming Samsung as such. Obviously, it's down to them to do whatever they want to do with their phone. But for us consumers, it is not as easy to take the screen on time as it was in previous Galaxy phones. However, obviously, there's always a solution to every problem. I have installed the third-party app GSM Battery. I think it's called GSM Battery. There you go, Battery Monitor. I'll be showing you some screenshots which I took along with the other stats as we go further down. Okay, anyway, so 5 hours and 9 minutes, and then the first update came in the very first month of March, which is March 2020. This is where I unboxed the phone and started using my Samsung Galaxy S20. As you can see on the top here, it says a camera improvement along with obviously security monthly patch update as well. So as you can see, a camera was a struggle from day one. For the first few months, I did have some issues with focusing. Eventually, things did improve, but they haven't improved as much as I expected. So the S20 continues to have focusing issues every now and then. It's not too bad, but it's not the best. I think the S10 does better than the S20 when it comes to auto focusing. Anyways, further down now here, and the screenshot, you can tell here on the 16th of March, 5 hours and 48 minutes of screen on time, with over an hour of WhatsApping, Facebooking, Chroming, using Google Maps for satellite navigation, half an hour emails, YouTube, Samsung Music, all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I was able to achieve 5 hours and 48 minutes of screen on time. I honestly did not expect this kind of screen on time on the S20 with the Exynos 990 chip inside, but then later I did install, like I said, the GSM monitor app to see if that made any difference to the actual screen on time. Anyways, here once again 6 hours and 53 minutes, again using 1 hour of YouTubing, over an hour and a half of emailing, WhatsApping, Instagramming, and all the rest of the stuff. Once again, another screenshot, once again 4 hours and 43 minutes of screen on time. I did observe one thing. There was quite a lot of variation on the screen on times. Every time I would take a screenshot, it would either be on the extreme end, like getting close to 6 to 6.5 hours of screen on time, or be on the lower end, like sometimes as bad as 3.5 or to 4 hours only. So there was quite a bit of variation, whether it was the OTA updates that Samsung have been releasing, or whether it was something else. My usage with the Samsung S20 was pretty consistent. Brightness was around 70%. Occasionally I would probably take it all the way up if I was out and about, obviously being in the sun, but mostly it was around 70 to 80% mark, and I had the normal optimized settings, no power boost or power performance mode, just the way it was out of the box. Okay, once again here 2 hours and 23, but here obviously the battery was down to 6%. But then again, this was the second day of the first day that I took here, so like I said, it can be a bit confusing, and as a result I decided that's probably good to install the GSM battery monitor app to give us a more accurate reading. Now here I was measuring the charging out of the box. I used the standard Samsung charger. You can tell it says 1 hour and 19 minutes. Now, by the way, the Samsung Galaxy S20 has a 4000 milliamp battery on a 6.2 inch quad HD screen. So keeping in mind such a big massive battery, the charging speeds were not too bad. Like I said, I used the standard box charger, the Samsung charger, and it was able to charge my phone fully in just over 1 hour, which is fantastic. Now on paper, the readings might not be as good as they seem, but for some reason the phone tends to charge very quickly, like I said, for a massive 4000 milliamp battery. Also, then I changed obviously the rate to 60 Hz instead of 120 to see if that made any difference to the battery performance. Here I took the standby screenshot on 26th of March. As you can see, the battery was down to 35% just past midnight, and when I checked in the morning around 9:15, it was down to 32%. So overnight it had only lost about 3%. Exynos chipset, quad HD screen, 6.2, not too bad. I was expecting worse. Okay, so further down again, another screenshot, heavy usage of social media, Twitter, Instagram, News Republic, WhatsApp, all of that. It shows you 2 hours and 30 minutes. Once again, it wasn't the accurate representation which I expected. Like I said, it's a bit difficult to now measure SOT, and that's why I installed a GSM battery monitor app to see actually how much screen on time I got from the moment I unplugged the phone and then plugged the phone back into the socket. As you can see here, it says 6 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time. So my Bluetooth was also pretty much always on. By the way, my Bluetooth is always on regardless of whichever phone I'm reviewing. My Bluetooth is always on, and reason for that is because I'm always connected to either my car studio or my Honor watch, smartwatch, or any other accessory. So my Bluetooth is always on. I don't like switching my Bluetooth off. So here I was, like I said, able to achieve 6 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time. Here once again, fast charging, 1 hour and 18 minutes from 7%. This is me using the standard box charger out of the box. Okay, once again, I was testing the standby time here on 27th of March, the very next day. The battery was down to 46% around 4 o'clock, just before 4 in the morning. When I checked it around midday, it had gone down to 43%. So from 46% to 43%. Again, only lost 3%. I was fairly happy with this because I've known Samsung Galaxy phones in the past losing much more than just 3% overnight. So not too bad considering it's an Exynos 990 chipset, which does tend to heat up every now and then and loses a lot of energy and consumes a lot of battery. Okay, here once again, 27th of March, 5 hours and 11 minutes of screen on time with battery down to 9%. Again, obviously this wasn't an accurate representation of what I wanted to get, and that's why I took another screenshot on this GSM battery monitor app, and this time it gave me 7.5 hours of screen on time. This was the only instance where I was able to achieve 7.5 hours. I think because I did spend a lot of time late at night and my brightness was quite low, around 40%, and that might have played a significant difference to the actual screen on time. Okay, again, fast charging, 1 hour and 70 minutes. It was fantastic, to be honest. Fast charging is really good on the new S20s. I'm really happy. It is almost as good as you have on the OnePlus phones, dare I say that. I know they got one of the quickest charging, warp charging, dash charging, but this is not too far behind, to be honest. Okay, and then again I changed the refresh rate to 120 Hertz, and here once again trying to measure the standby time at 56% battery, just past 1 o'clock in the morning. And when I checked it at 4 to 8 in the morning, it was down to 53%. Once again, only lost 3%, so very consistently losing only 3% overnight, which again is very satisfying. Once again, as a screenshot, guys, here at 3 hours and 33 minutes, and I was able to achieve a total of 4 hours and 51 minutes of screen on time. By the way, most of the screenshots you can see were on Wi-Fi. Occasionally I did switch on 4G, but my 3UK is very terrible when it comes to 4G. I haven't been having a good time with 3UK. The performance has gone from bad to really worse, so that's why in most cases I would be trying to access 4G, but I would not be able to actually browse on 4G. That means the phone will be looking for the signal, looking for the internet connection, but it will keep struggling, and hence I will lose battery for no reason. So that wouldn't be an accurate representation of the actual 4G usage. But every time I did switch the 4G on, it did make a difference of an hour, 2 hours on average. Okay, here again I was still going on 60 Hertz, and once again screen on time 6 hours and 49. Obviously this probably wouldn't have been accurate, so once again I took the GSM battery monitor app screenshot, and it gave me 7 hours and 41 minutes. In fact, I'm sorry, I was lying earlier in the video. It did give me again 7 hours and 41 minutes. Again, it was down to low brightness and mostly browsing at night time that resulted in that kind of figure. Again, 120 Hertz. Once more here, getting into the screenshot here, as you can see, 7 hours and 34 minutes, and using WhatsApp and all that kind of stuff. An hour and a half of WhatsApping, lots of chroming as well, Instagramming, lots of emailing, and that resulted in 5 hours and 37 minutes of screen on time with battery down to, as you can tell, at 10%. So as you can tell, as I go along and show you more and more screenshots, this is by the way for the Galaxy earbuds, which I also have. Samsung are quite good at sending regular updates as well. So if you have any questions regarding the earbuds, the Galaxy earbuds, please do feel free to ask me in the comments section. Okay, so once again, another update that came up I think just about a couple of months ago or a month ago, and it was around 168 meg. Again, it was the security patch update, but these updates did not have much of an impact on the battery life. The battery life on the S20, in my opinion, is slightly unpredictable. At times it will take you to 7 hours, at times you will get around 6.5 hours, 5.5 hours, 4.5 hours, depending how you use the phone. If you increase the brightness way too much, you really hammer the phone, YouTube, gaming, you probably won't get more than 4 hours. But if you're going to be browsing only, keep the brightness low, have a fairly normal average WhatsApp, Facebook kind of use, emails, then most likely you will get around the 5 to 6 hours mark on average. Further down, once again, another update. It was in the month of May. You can tell May 2020, and all these screenshots, more screen on times, all of that, guys. So another update was that came in the month of June, and once again I was able to achieve around 3 hours and 18 minutes. Here I remember very well, I was using more 4G and less of Wi-Fi, even though Wi-Fi says activity, but there was me having the Wi-Fi on constantly at the back end, but it was more to do with me using a 4G and less of Wi-Fi. So it does have an impact. If you significantly use 4G, it will drain the battery a lot quicker, resulting in drastic kind of screen on time. As you can see, 3 hours and 18 minutes only, and here the battery was down to 14%. So as you can see, guys, unpredictable kind of screen on times, normally around the 6 hour to 5 hour mark, massive big 4000 milliamp battery. It does make a difference. However, to me, it's a bit unpredictable, and the phone still tends to heat up a bit. Now I'm getting reports of the Note 20 getting even worse battery than the S20. Despite having a 4500 milliamp battery inside, still the Note 20 seems to be struggling, whereas I think the S20 probably is a better bargain. So if you're out in the market right now looking for a phone, and if you're in the UK and you are in love with the Galaxy phones and you don't like getting any other phones, then yes, S20 probably is your best bet. However, there are more phones out in the market like the OnePlus 8 and the OnePlus 8 Pro, the OnePlus 7T. You got a few phones from Huawei as well. Obviously they got their own share of issues with Android, but there is some choice out in the market. The OnePlus Nord is out as well. I'm hearing that that's also giving a good decent battery life. So I would personally prefer a Snapdragon version, firstly because it doesn't heat as much, secondly because it gives you more performance, and thirdly you can probably see better figures of screen on time and battery as opposed to what you can see on the Samsung Galaxy S20. But keeping in mind this is an Exynos version, I think the overall result is not too bad. The phone will, in most cases, even if you really hammer it, should be able to get you through a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday working day, and obviously charges very quickly as well. So most people will have no problem with the Samsung Galaxy S20 going through a day. But if you are obviously always on the phone, then you might have to charge your phone at least once before you go to bed at night time. This is my observation of the S20's battery so far ever since I had the phone from launch. If the battery situation changes in terms of being more consistent, obviously I will give you an update. If not, then probably the next time I'll be on a Samsung Galaxy phone most likely would be an S21 or whatever model they call it, because I tend to upgrade my phone every year as I'm on the Samsung's upgrade program. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. Any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comment section. And like always, please subscribe as it helps, and I shall see you in the next video.